So, Jake, let's get started with the top 3 draft needs for 2024, starting with draft need number 3.
So draft need number 3 might be a little controversial for some people. I'm going to say wide receiver, and here's why. And I can tell you right now, I think they're drafting a receiver in the first 3 rounds, guaranteed. The reason behind this, just to explain, because again, why draft a wide receiver? You have Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, Demarcus Robinson, Tutu Atwell. Well, only one guy or 2 guys, excuse me, next year are signed to the Rams contract. So you're looking at Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, the only guys on the roster that are signed past this year. Tutu Atwell will become a free agent after this year. Demarcus Robinson is on a 1-year deal. They signed him to a 1-year deal. Ben Skoranek was drafted in the same draft as Tutu Atwell. They signed Tyler Johnson back, 1-year deal. So my thought process here, and the reason why I think they're so heavily invested in going after a wide receiver, first off, this wide receiver class is loaded from top to bottom. But the Rams have done this. They've shown in the past when you think they're good enough, like they draft a 4th rounder, Josh Reynolds, they're still going out and getting a Sammy Watkins. They're still going out and getting a Brandon Cooks. They're never satisfied. And so I wouldn't be surprised to see a move like, a Tutu Atwell gets traded in that draft and they go and get like a Brian Thomas Jr. In the 1st round, or a Ricky Pearsall in the 2nd, or a Javon Baker in the 3rd. I also wouldn't be surprised if they traded up for Rome Odunze, which is something I could really see them doing. But I'll say number 3, wide receiver.
All right. Draft need number 2.
Draft need number 2. This will come as a shock to some people, but I'm going to say left tackle. Now, I like Alec Jackson. I've talked to Alec Jackson. I'm a big fan of Alec Jackson. Anytime you get a UDFA and you turn him into a left tackle starter, you did something right. However, let's just look at the reality here. They spent a lot of money on Jonah Jackson, Kevin Dotson, and Rob Havenstein. Steve Avila is on a rookie deal. Okay. A lot of these deals that they signed this offseason are 2-3-year deals to essentially open up the door to when Steve Avila needs to get paid, he's going to get paid. Guys like that, Puka Nacua. So the reality of the situation is that Alec Jackson, and we don't even know because, it's coming up soon, the deadline for, his restricted free agency. Someone could still, try to sign him to an offer sheet. They would owe the Rams a 2nd round pick if the Rams chose not to do that. However, if someone were to do that, they lose him, becomes an even bigger need. But I think it's a need regardless, because Alec Jackson on a 1-year deal, that's not a guarantee that he's back next year, first off. And second, as much as I like him, I think this draft class early on, you could move up a little bit and get somebody who is a bookend left tackle of the future. I think there are 3 blue chip prospects at the tackle position in this draft.
Top need, Rams, draft. What is it?
The top need is edge. Now, look, I actually am pretty high on Michael Hoyt, and I understand a lot of people look at him and they think that he's just a guy, and I think they just fail to realize the kid out of Brown has incredible athleticism. He's just 6'4", 300 pounds, playing outside linebacker, but he is a crazy athlete. He ran a 4.6 at that size, and he moves pretty well. The problem is Raheem Morris dropped his outside linebackers into coverage more than anybody in the league. The only one who's even close, actually, I think he did it more, was Andrew Van Ginkel, but he plays he plays a different role there. Did with Miami. Now he's with the Vikings. So I look at Hoyt, now that they brought him back, they have Byron Young, who's 26 years old. I think they feel good about, the investment they made last year in Byron Young. They go out and they get O'Shawn Mathis, who was referred to, I think it was on the NFL Network coverage. Someone called him a lottery ticket that they're hoping that they can cash in 2 to 3 years with the athleticism. And he's somebody, I believe he was at TCU and was a much better player. Then he goes to Nebraska. It's not really much of a fit. So they're hoping that the athleticism there, they can build something there. Plus, he was actually outperforming Byron Young early on in camp before he got hurt. So that's something to keep in mind.